Hey, it's a drink with Derek, and I am honored to have the company of John Katsilometes. Did I get that? I always call you Johnny Katz, but I want to make sure I got the last
You
name
got
correct.
Katsilometes right, and
Yes,
that's not easy. Believe
I
me.
didn't see that. I didn't see that coming.
I think 1 in 9 get it right on the first
Yes,
pass.
I'll take
That's how
that.
Johnny Katz happens. It's because of the last name. We'll just cut it off there. Yeah, but it's good to see you, Derek. Always a
Good,
pleasure to see you. We
good,
run
good to
into
see
each
you as
other
well,
randomly,
man.
you know.
You are one of the hands down hardest working human beings on the planet. Anybody that follows you on social media knows this is true. You cover entertainment here in Las Vegas for the Review Journal.
Yes.
Follow you on social media. We'll have all the platforms. We'll get that from you here, towards the end as well. But you've been in this town covering entertainment. We're just covering stuff in general for a long time. You started back in 1996, right, as a sports writer here in town.
Yeah, I was a sports writer when I arrived here, and
Right.
I came in from Northern California. I grew up in Chico, California, and mostly, and I was a sports writer for about 12 years, 12 or 13 years before I got into Las Vegas. So I had a career entering Las Vegas that was pretty well established. So, and I got here in '96 and was a sports writer for 2 years, and then started to move into the position I'm in now.
I can't imagine having to cover entertainment in this town. That's like covering pub crawls in Ireland.
It is. It's
What's
pub
this gonna?
crawls
So,
in-
so
pub
you used to
crawls in
cover.
Ireland.
So you're a sports writer in Vegas here now. How do you think that an NFL team, the Raiders, are going to handle being in this town?
If you're talking about how to deal with the distractions, which I have talked about, that's one thing. It's going to require the front office to pay attention to the players' behavior, and I'm not
Right.
talking about just where they're going to be, but how they behave during practice, how they are in game days in Las Vegas on Sundays at Allegiant Stadium, and I think that there's going to be some counseling that goes on before, some directives from the team itself that bring in some experts on how to achieve life balance, for lack of a better term. You know, how to maintain your professional decorum, and how to steer clear of what we've traditionally had as a 24-hour nightlife environment. That is, I had one club operator tell me, a club host tell me when they announced the Raiders, he goes, "This is great for my industry because we have young guys with a lot of disposable income, and they don't use great judgment." That's our bread and butter right there. So
That's me. That's me now. I mean, without all the disposable income, I got all the bad judgment but without the credit card to back it up.
Can you play linebacker? Because
no, but I got a feeling that there could be some instances where they may call on some people to play linebacker.
Well, you know how it is. So yeah, that's what they're going to be trying to offset here in Las Vegas.
Well, because we never really had that issue with the Golden Knights when they showed up. Hockey players, I mean, love to go out and have a good time, but at least from what I've heard, you don't see the headline news from hockey players getting into outside activities, trouble, if you will.
Yeah,
you do with guys in the NFL.
Yeah, the thing about the Golden Knights, one characteristic of that team, and I don't know if it's league wide, but the Golden Knights are a lot of families. Those guys have children here in Las Vegas. They have wives and they have families, and they all, many of them live out in Summerlin, or they live in the suburbs. So when they're in Las Vegas, if they ever do anything recreationally, it's usually in the family unit. They go with their wives and they go to events that way. It's the road teams. It's the teams coming in, the Edmontons and the Chicago Blackhawks and the San Jose Sharks and the Kings. It's the visiting teams wherever they come from,
right?
That have to be aware of Las Vegas's distractions more so than the team that lives here. Just because you can imagine if you're traveling all over the country, and one night you're in Phoenix, and then one night then you're in Las Vegas.
Right.
And then where do you think you're going to get in the most trouble if you're traveling with the NFL team? Probably here. So they've called it Vegas flu. They've called it different things, and they've noticed that there's been a little bit of some lethargic performances from the road teams in Las Vegas, more so than the Golden Knights, and that especially in that inaugural season, the expansion season. I think teams figured it out after that. But that first year, when you first come into Las Vegas, you know how it is. When if you first come into Las Vegas, you kind of you lose sight of your priorities.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think that was a thing in the first year. That's one reason they had such a successful season as an expansion team.
Yeah, because that first period, I mean, it was just watching a bunch of hungover dudes hopping off the bench and trying to play, and it was hilarious.
Right.
Now, as much stuff as you cover here in this town, and this is almost an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, only because I get people that come into town all the time asking me favorite shows. So if you had to list your top 5 favorite shows here in Vegas, what would they be?
You know, it's I always have to qualify this, and I give myself a little bit of rope here because they're so dissimilar. You know,
Sure.
It's not just saying the 5 best residency shows, or the 5
Right.
best production shows, the 5 best comedy or magic shows. So that's one way I do it. But it's usually some version of Absinthe at Caesar's Palace. I've been a big fan of that show since it
I
opened.
love it.
In April of 2011. Now it's 9 years on. I love that. My favorite comic in residency show is Carrot Top. I think Carrot Top show, you have got to see that because
Hilarious.
it's funny on many levels, and I think it's one thing about Scott Thompson, who is Carrot Top, is he's always trying to improve the show and move the show forward. And there's more thought in doing that show than people realize. And the first segment of that show, the first few minutes, the first 5 minutes maybe, are as funny as you will see. The opening of that show, you are hyperventilating by the time he takes his first break. And he comes after you. I'm a big fan of it, and I know you are too, of Brad Garrett.
Oh, yeah.
I like Brad a lot. Brad's just a funny dude. So those are my favorite comics. My favorite Cirque show's got to be Loved, only because I'm a big Beatles fan. I've always said that, and Michael Jackson 1 is another one. Terrific show. I am a big fan of the Aerosmith residency and Lady Gaga. Both of those. Lady Gaga's jazz and piano show that she does, the big band show, is probably my favorite residency in Las Vegas ever.
Wow.
And yeah, I think that it is the way she delivers those songs and her jazz knowledge, and the fact that she hired the best of the best local musicians here in Las Vegas to be in that horn section through Brian Newman, her trumpet player and band leader, who I've gotten to know out of Brooklyn, makes that thing. It's terrifically performed. It's a story show. She tells her story through the songs. And twice I've seen Tony Bennett in the show. So
yeah, I saw them backstage playing on the Aero. There was a picture. It might have been on your Instagram page where it was. I think it was him and Lady Gaga playing on the Aerosmith pinball machine.
Oh, that Aerosmith brings out the pinball machines for the stage plot where they flank the stage with bars, and yeah, they were playing one of the pinball machines.
That was great.
Playing and she was watching him play. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is so cool. That was a great shot.
I'll throw some local smaller venue performers. Santa Fe and the Fat City Horns, big fan of them. Frankie Marino, huge fan. David Perico and Pop Strings over at Cleopatra's Barge. Lon Bronson's All-Star Band, they kill it. Matt Goss's show at One Oak vocally, and then that presentation is always a great night. All of those are good friends of mine. They're all and they'll deliver great. Frankie, did I say Frankie Marino?
Yep.
And I think you can't go wrong with any of those.
No, there's so much, and there's so much here. I mean, it's stimulus overload. So we've both had, you obviously have friends coming in from out of town, and they always want to know, where should I go? And it's like, all right, well, you're here for how long? Only 48 hours.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me give you a few things to pick from. What are your what are things that you found in this town, whether it's restaurants or little off the beaten path type places that you have enjoyed going to? Places not on the strip that people don't know about.
Well, I'll tell you, you can find me when things are normal. It's always a qualifier now when things are normal. But I'm a big fan of the Tuscany and the Piazza Lounge that they have there. Kenny Davidson, who does a piano, the bow tie cabaret, they call it. He's on Friday nights. He plays piano, and they have a whole bunch of singers come in and roll in, and it's super talented. I always bring friends from out of town to Kenny's show. They can't believe how much talent is assembled there, and he just brings them up as guests. You know, it's not quite an open mic. He's got it's scheduled, but that's fun. The Bootlegger Bistro is a great out of the way place. Kelly Clinton's show on Monday nights at 9 p.m. is there, and Santa Fe and the Fat City Horns play before her. Big fan of that. The Italian American Club, anytime. The Italian American Club is legit old Vegas. Love that hang. They have a lounge and a showroom. Great food, great vibe.
That's
You
so
know, you
cool.
usually find Frankie Shinta in there. You can find Jerry Tiffy, who's a lounge singer who dates the Days of the Sands.
Mm-hmm.
He plays on the weekends there. Who else? You know, I like the Dispensary Lounge. It's not a dispensary like you would expect. It's a
That
jazz
place
club.
is great. My girlfriend took me there for the first time about a month and a half ago, and that is
Isn't it great?
really, really cool.
Yeah, Wynton Marsalis came in there one night after a jazz show at UNLV and played. That's a cool spot. Where else? You know, I'm a big fan of Piero's, Pia Zadora's show over there. Freddie Glussman and their crew. You can usually find me in there on random Friday nights. I enjoy that hang quite a bit. Casa di Amore has a great Italian. You can see I'm a fan of Italian places.
Oh yeah, same here.
Yeah, you know, so that's
I love it.
on East Tropicana, and that's a very fun hang. And then I live downtown. There's a lot of cool stuff down here. Esther's Kitchen, some of the restaurants down here, La Comida downtown. I like all the resorts on Fremont Street.
Yeah,
I'll have cool entertainment. I'll have cool dining options. And Fremont East has had some really cool outcroppings over the past few years.
Carson Kitchen is really good too. I like that place.
Very good. Good call. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
So much good stuff. Well, you were talking about Old Vegas, like about the Italian American Club. What part of Old Vegas would you like to see come back?
I'd like to see more. You know what I would like to see is more classic combined entertainment, or you know, yeah, we're calling it immersive. We're calling it, you know, whatever term you use. But I think that the way the Strip was moving and Las Vegas was moving before this outbreak happened was the way we need to go. And I'm talking about Mayfair Supper Club. I'm talking about Nomad Bar and Restaurant, where Brian Newman performs his late night gig. The Supper Club has entertainment. They have top-notch singers and a band and dancers around, and they have great refined food, a great location looking over the water at the Bellagio. That type of place. Right. You would normally think of that as a kind of a throwback experience. I think we need to get back into, can you go to a dinner and a show that is a dinner during a show? And how do you make that happen and let people be more intelligent about the use of their time? You know, then that you can get entertainment and dinner at the same time, rather than if you're here for 2 nights, you have to go see a show, you know, and going to see Aerosmith and then going to dinner might not be in the cards on every given night. But going to Nomad or going to one of the newer places on the Strip, the Mayfair Supper Club, would be an option. And I think that the Italian American Club and some of these other places I mentioned are that way, where you can go in and watch a performance and dine and commiserate and feel like you're in Las Vegas, classic Las Vegas. I think that's what we can offer that no other city really can.
No, I agree. I'd like to see a lot more of the places where people just look at the old school Vegas pictures. I like seeing people dress up and go out to certain things, and not everything. But I mean, you know, if I'm going to go to a nice steakhouse in Vegas, and I'm going to, you know, wear, you know, at least a nice shirt or a sport coat or something, and not come in a tank top and cut off jean shorts and, you know, look like I just got done changing the transmission in my car. So, which has a place. I mean, you know, if you're going to be at a hockey game, you want to dress like that. That's fine. But not when I'm at, you know, a nice steakhouse at the Wynn or at the MGM. So,
you know, it's interesting because I've heard that for a lot over the years. And I happen to agree that it's a great aesthetic and it's a great night out when you can be all fancy and wear the suit and go out and enjoy, you know, a real kick-ass night in Las Vegas. What you have to remember is that people coming in often, that's not convenient for them.
Right.
You know, and this is not like in the 60s and 70s when you only had a few hotels on the Strip and you only had, you know, you'd maybe go to one show when you were here. And when you went to that show, you really dressed up. People are trying to jam in so much more. They're trying to be on value. They're trying to travel efficiently. And we like that. We would love to present that. And I've seen concepts over the years where it's like, we have a dress code, not only for our venues, our restaurants, but for the hotel itself.
Right.
But you better message that out. You better figure out a way where you can get that messaging out to people who are coming in from Middle America, from where my family lives in the Intermountain Northwest,
right,
from the East, wherever they're coming from, and say, all right, are you guys prepared to pack semi-formal attire and put out for one of these places? because you have to have that answer before you start going in that direction. But I love, like you said, I love the old photos of the sands. You know,
No, those are great.
Yeah,
The
you know,
room and-
you see Sinatra and those guys on stage, and they're playing to a crowd, and they're eating right there while Sinatra's singing. And a lot of them, many of them, are smoking and eating and watching the show and drinking at the same time. There you go.
And they're not on their cell phones.
No. They don't have a typewriter out texting. Not sending telegrams.
Yes.
Right.
Is there anything? Here's a question for you. Anything in Vegas that's happening now that you would like to see go away?
I think fees in general. I think fees in all of their variety and all of their forms. And
you're talking like resort
now,
fees and entertainment
resort
fees,
parking fees, this fee, that fee, the fee to get money, the fee, the TAF tax, the surtax, the pedestrian tax.
Right.
You know, take a walk, I'll tax the street. I think that we need to understand something here in Las Vegas, and that is, it's one thing to charge for an experience, but people don't like the hidden part of this. Especially, they don't like, I hear this all the time, they don't like arriving at a desk and being told, oh, there's $40 more attached to your stay. You know, where's that money going? You know, it's not going, you're not tipping a valet that money. You're not going to, you know, go to a grab and go.
Sure.
Eating, you're not going to go to one of the booze vendors. You're not going to put it on the tables. You're not going to put it in a video poker machine. And it makes the experience negative. It adds a negative connotation because you feel like these people have come out and planned to be in Las Vegas, and they've been, you know, it's a little bit of a bait and switch in action, you know?
Right.
I would say, if you're going to charge somebody a fee, fold it into the price. If the room is going to be $77, include the resort fee. If you have to have that fee, then take it there, and at least give people a chance to budget. I mean, I can tell you, I don't want to come back from this COVID nonsense and have our tourists or my neighbors in Las Vegas having to be charged to park at a strip resort, wherever it is. Right. I valet all the time. It costs $18 to park. To do my job. That's offensive. And I think that, and I think the valet guys don't like it because they don't see any of that money, and they're losing their tips. It's not good for the. Right. It's not good for you know, the blue collar, the middle class that we have here in Las Vegas. I would say you have to figure out a way to keep your business model and your profit margin in order so you can make money. I don't mind making money, but I do feel that these fees that are all over the place, eventually they add up. We need to loosen up the experience in Las Vegas, especially when we come back from this. It has to feel loose. It has to be free. And when you're being tagged, I mean, I'm talking about from the ATMs, it costs $10 to take $20 out at the link. Is that really, does that make sense? Does that really make sense? And more free amenities. I want to see more no cost amenities, at least at the beginning of this. We have the Bellagio fountains. I say we should investigate at least a free period for that high roller on the strip. In the old days, that would have been free. That would have been, you just ride it and take pictures. It would have been an amenity to draw people to that promenade. It would have been an amenity to draw people to the Flamingo, the Link, all those hotels on that east side of the strip, Harrah's. And that I would like to see more of that, to treat entertainment as a marketing device rather than every single entertainment center be a profit center. That's my dream.
Which is like old Vegas. I mean, that was, you go back to the model of when the mob ran Vegas. They're like, here's some fantastic entertainment. We know the money's going to come through the gambling and everything else. So
yeah, well, you know, Derek, you and I could have run a hotel in the 60s in Las Vegas. All you have to do is have a gaming license. That's all you needed.
I know.
That's it. You could have a box of blackjack tables, have a gaming license. People are just dying to gamble. They come here. We make money. They have their experience. Everybody else gets paid. We could have a big showroom. All we have to do is pay off the gambling receipts. Those days are long gone, and I get that.
Well, why don't we go back in we'll get a DeLorean time machine, go back with Michael J. Fox, and we'll get ourselves a casino, and then all we have to do is fight the New York and Chicago mobs. How does that sound?
I would take that deal. And in the Derek and Katz Resort Hotel Casino, it would be a back in time theme. And you know how they give away cars?
Yeah.
The DeLorean is our vehicle we'd give away. We have to find a DeLorean. We have to put it up there and then say, if you hit three of these hats in a row or whatever we're selling,
Sure.
you get the DeLorean, and you've gone back in time.
This makes way too much sense. We just need to make it. We just need to make it happen. You work constantly. I mean, what do you do for downtime? I mean, what you do for work is what everybody else does when they're not working.
Yeah, I get this a lot. I feel like most of what I do in work was something I want to do anyway.
Right.
And I'm just hired to do it. My downtime usually is spent. I'll go work out.
Right.
I'll dial down. Usually during the day, I'll do some reading. Usually during the day, I'll do some contact with my family and be normal that way. And then I really have to pull out of Las Vegas completely to really get downtime. And that's when I go see my family up in Idaho and visit with my nephew and my brother and my sister-in-law, my father and mother, and all those guys up there. And when I'm up there, it's a whole different role.
Oh yeah.
Whole different, I have a whole different personality up there. And my dad owns an inn in Lava Hot Springs, Idaho. And I go up there and soak in the water and
nice.
Chat with the commoners, as I say.
Chat with the commoners.
Chat up the commoners.
What do you? Any word on future residencies coming into town? I know that obviously a lot of residencies are getting postponed. I had tickets to see Sting, and I know that got postponed. I know the Who. I had tickets for that, and that just got canceled. I didn't see anything about a postponement, whether it's going to happen later or what the deal is. But anything that's coming into town that.
A new residency, I expect Lady Gaga to announce her dates coming back. That's not new, but she's right now not scheduled for anything.
Right.
I don't know. ZZ Top will be rebooking. You mentioned Sting and the Who. What we're going to see first, Derek, before we see anybody coming back into Las Vegas with a new concept, is to fill in the dates that have been postponed.
Right.
And that's the Christina Aguilera, the Kelly Clarksons. Gwen Stefani was supposed to finish off in May. She's going to move back her dates. So I think we're going to have to clear the dates of those who have,
sure.
But Robbie Williams, another one. I love Robbie Williams. He's had to cancel over at the Wynn, and he'll come back. So I think before a new residency is really even investigated or maybe announced, we're going to have to fill in the pieces of the scheduling that have been canceled. Sebastian Maniscalco just canceled. I just saw that today, and May at Encore Theater. So I think there's a lot of work to be done with the existing relationships instead of bringing new people in.
That's one job I don't want, handling the logistics of having to rebook that stuff.
Yeah, you're talking about flights, you're talking about rooms, you're talking about tickets, you're talking the whole thing is
everybody's across the United States, across the world.
Yeah, everybody, all shows, all live performances, sports, everything. Yeah.
Your favorite interviews?
I've I think about this a lot. My favorite interviews over the years, I've had a great time. I knew Jerry Lewis well for the last several years of his life. I loved interviewing Jerry. Just because he wasn't always easy, but he was always fulfilling, and I got to know him.
Right.
I really did. We were really close near the end, at the end of his life. In real time, back in the heyday, Steve Wynn was a great interview. Steve Wynn and his vision for everything else aside, his vision for mega resorts in Las Vegas and hospitality and entertainment were very interesting to me. I've always enjoyed Wayne Newton. Love Wayne Newton. He's great. I mentioned Brad Garrett. I like interviewing Brad quite a bit. Who else have I talked to recently? Talked to Williams fairly recently. He was fun. I like those types of people. I like people who have a historic. Derek Stevens is a very interesting man to talk to down at the D Las Vegas.
Right.
Carlos Santana is a great interview. Him and Cindy, his wife, are always interesting to talk to. They are very spiritually rooted, and they're. It's a very circuitous experience. So I was asked, Carlos, how you doing? I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful. That's where we start. So
that's cool.
Those are some of the more prevalent ones that leap to mind right now.
What interview surprised you? You meet up with this person, and when I say that, for good reasons or bad, whether it was someone was more outgoing than you thought they would be, or someone who was more reserved. Anybody stick out?
You know, I think I would say it took me a long time to get a real one-on-one with Celine Dion, and I was impressed at how gracious she was. You know, I was really struck by her grace and her articulation of what it was like. She was just leaving. The last time I talked to her, really, was she was just leaving the Caesar's Palace residency. Her, you know, and was very gracious. Donnie and Marie Osmond, by the way, they are great. Especially Marie. I've known Marie a little bit better than Donnie over the years, but they are so present. When you get to them, they're so present and they're so conversations. They're very curious people. They're always interested in what's going on. They're also fulfilling. You know,
are they still in town here? Are they still living here or no?
Marie, I think is. Donnie's in Utah. I think Marie still has a residence here. I'm not entirely sure where everything is right now.
Right.
But and Marie's on the talk. And Donnie was just on that Disney sing-along special the other night, about a month ago. And but they've always been very honest with me and very curious. And they share their work with me. You know, like Donnie was playing on his phone and in his studio at the Flamingo at the time. His new album, got to listen to a couple songs. Marie had shown me rough cuts of her video to involve me in that process.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool. Yeah, you feel like you're in a place where people don't normally get to go, and but I've really enjoyed them.
Well, and it's great because you've had such a long history here in Vegas and developed such a great rapport with all these entertainers, and you know they know you and they can trust you. And if they didn't have that trust, they wouldn't be letting you back there and giving you that access to them. So
yeah, that's it.
Which is great. I mean, that's a testament to you and what you do. So
yeah, and I think they appreciate the fact that I work as hard as I do. You know, I think that's the biggest thing is that I'm willing to put in the work. That's how I got to know Jerry Lewis. That's how I got to know Wayne in the old days. Wayne Newton, is they appreciate work ethic. And if you're really going the extra mile, you know, there are times when I've had to wait 2 hours to get 5 minutes with somebody.
Sure.
But I'll put in that time if I can get a good 5 minutes because that's part of my job. I do more waiting than people would realize in my job.
Oh yeah.
I do more waiting around, waiting for things to end, waiting for the meet and greet to clear. Waiting for people to get their time with stars until I get there, you know. It's true with most superstars, yeah.
Here's an oddball question for you. Cauliflower pizza crust, great invention or created by the devil?
I would say it's great because for this reason. I don't think we need to call it pizza crust. I think when you start messing around with the definition of what a pizza is, the ingredients and what it is are secondary to the fact that that's not the kind of pizza we understand. But I think if you can make a breaded thing, whatever you call it, out of cauliflower, you don't have to call it pizza crust. You can just call it cauliflower breading or give it some other name. Call it something else. This is not cauliflower trying to do an impression of a pizza. Don't worry about it. It's just like it's cauliflower, maybe with some marinara on it, maybe with some cheese, maybe with some meat product. And enjoy it as an open sandwich. Say that.
Can you imagine going to Brooklyn and asking for a cauliflower pizza crust?
You know, I'm going to do this. I'll tell you how it turns out too, because I got friends in Brooklyn. I got a couple. Well, Brian Newman, I mentioned him earlier. He's a buddy of mine. He lives in Brooklyn. I'll go there with him and I'll say something. Look, I'm from out of town, and I'd like to have some cauliflower pizza crust. And if you have a Hawaiian pizza, which is pineapple, bacon, some bacon or Canadian bacon. Yeah, I would like that also. And see where that leads me. See if I come back in one piece.
It's going to lead you to JFK on a one-way flight back to Vegas, is where it's going to lead you.
I'm more of a LaGuardia guy, but I get it. Yeah.
I hear you. Last question here. You're on a desert island, and it's got to be with one of the following Vegas headliners. Who would it be? Is it Wayne Newton, Blue Man Group, or Carrot Top?
I'll say Wayne.
Okay.
I'll say Wayne because of the breadth of his career, we would have more entry points to discuss things. We'd have more to talk about. I could see longer conversations with Wayne than Blue Man or Carrot Top. Scott's a great conversation. He just hasn't had quite the long career that
Right.
or the variety in his career. He's been mostly here in Las Vegas at the Luxor. Blue Man Group would be highly entertaining for one day. Are they
See,
talking Desert Island? That's a
I'm looking at it more from a perspective of cannibalism. So there's more of them to eat. And if you like peace and quiet, they really don't talk. I mean, they'll beat on coconuts.
The one thing, they'd probably be more resourceful. They'd probably bring a lot of food with them. They have a lot of marshmallows and Captain Crunch in their act. So
exactly. And I mean, I don't want to have to try to fight Scott for food, Carrot Top, because he's a
I don't want to fight Scott at all. But
he's going to win.
I think cannibalism is a two-way street with those Blue Men because there's 3 of them and only 1 of me. So guess who goes first? They have no problem devouring a journalist.
I got a feeling the Greek journalist is going to be eaten quickly.
It's a Greek-Italian entree.
That's beautiful. Johnny Katz, you're awesome, man. Thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media? I know you're all over the place doing stuff. Where can they find you?
It's at Johnny Katz, JOHNNYKATS on Twitter. At Johnny Katz 1, JOHNNYKATS number 1 on Instagram, and at the reviewjournal.com website. That's where Cats, the column, exists, and that's where Podcats, and you'll be on it, by the way. Now you owe me one. Will be where it posts. Podcats has been going on for a while, and that's on the Review Journal site also. So those are my home courts.
Well, and we'll have all the social media platforms listed on the bottom here too for you too. And again, thank you so much. I know that we're all craving normalcy and getting back to doing what we love to do, and no one does it better here in this town than you. So if anybody wants to find out what's going on in Vegas, Johnny Katz is the guy to look up. You're awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Derek. Looking forward to seeing you in person and seeing you do what you do. You're a very funny man. I love it.
Thank you so much, man.
Okay, take care.